and an overview of website usability and conversion rates optimization, which I think I just need to pop back on to the slide. So those are the learning outcomes of this lecture today. So there are more than 1 billion websites worldwide. You can create websites free of cost. For a good website, it shouldn't really be free of cost. There should be some costs included, but you can do it free. And it can be very easy. Again, it probably shouldn't be easy, but if you were just getting started and you just want to get one up and running, then you can do it quite easily. The main challenge actually for organisations isn't the website that they build, it's how they can get people onto that website, which we're going to do this afternoon. And actually in all of our digital marketing content. Because basically all of digital marketing pretty much comes back to getting people, nearly all digital marketing gets people to go into a business's website. So this is just to really understand how important websites are. It's all about how important the internet is and also what people on the internet are actually doing, how they're accessing the internet. So there are 5.1, as of January last year, there were 5.16 billion total internet users, as for a population of around 8 point something billion. So 64.4% of the total population of the world, and this is increasing year on year, so that increased by 1.1% from the year before, which equates, interesting. Yeah, well anyway, those two numbers don't really work together, but yeah, 98 million extra users in the year. So this is an interesting one, is the difference between genders. So in the world, 61.6% of women or female population use the internet, and 67.2% of the male population use the internet. So overall, there's more, the percentage of males across the world who use the internet is more than women. Each internet user uses an average of more than 6.5 hours on the internet. I mean, we're on the internet all the time, aren't we, now? So whether it's on social media or accessing my Beckett for study purposes or anything, we are on the internet. 92.3% of people are accessing the internet on their mobile phones, and that's really, really important when it comes to building and designing your website. But 65.6% are also using desktops, because we use a combination. Higher, I think it's probably fairly easy to understand why the percentages of people using the internet are higher in urban areas than in rural areas. So this report comes from Hootsuite, who I mentioned yesterday. Over time, we can see in the last 10 years, or from January 2013 to January 2023, just how much internet use has grown in the last 10 years. And it's just going to continue to grow. It's slowing down as it's sort of saturating a little bit in the last couple of years. So you can see here there were big leaps, 10.5%, 13.9%. In the last couple of years, it's slowed down 2% growth year on year, and that's just as it gets more and more saturated, particularly with 78% of urban area population using the internet. So it will continue to grow, it's just slowing down. But that is a phenomenal growth. It's doubled in the last 10 years, the number of internet users. So potentially the number of people who could be seeing your website has doubled in the last 10 years. Obviously, globally, there are different adoption rates. So in Southern Asia, it's 47.4%, in Eastern Africa, 23.1%, but Southern Africa, 70.6%. So when you're trying to understand your markets and who you're trying to reach, these sorts of figures are very important to you. It's very important to know where your customers, your potential customers, are in the world. Should be on for a little bit longer. In case you want to make any notes about that. There we go. I think it's just really interesting to see how we're a totally connected world where you can be connected to anyone in the world, but this really shows the disparity when you've got 97.4% of people in Northern Europe using the internet, and then only 23.1% in Eastern Africa. I think it just really shows that when you're talking about access to services, it's just important to really realise that it isn't everywhere in the world. But that also shows how much potential there is for more growth, more people using the internet. Over time, those percentages will get higher in the rest of the world. This is to show the change in the amount of time using the internet, and of course, when we're looking at any stats that include 2020 and 2021, you kind of have to bear in mind that things changed a little bit in that time. So in 2022, it sort of dropped a little bit. During COVID, people were spending more time on the internet than ever. And I mean, his hands up if you were studying online. Can I just see, was that happening here? You studying online? So you would have been spending a lot more time online at that point than before or after. So that obviously changed the way that we use the internet a lot. I was teaching online for the first time in those years. So we're going to look at some of the different types of, when you're thinking about websites, how your website looks and how it performs and how the sorts of things you want to do will depend entirely on the sort of website that you're building. So some websites are very practical. They're not trying to sell you something, they are giving you information, and these will normally be public bodies. So they'll be like your government website, your health service website, things like that. And the reason I put gov.uk, which is the British government one, not just because I'm British, it makes sense, less talking please. It's because it's a very good example of an information website. It makes it very easy to find the information that you want. Because if your website is providing information, you don't want it to be difficult for people to find the information they need. So it's all about clarity. Could we have less talking, please? It's very distracting. This little corner over here. Generally, if someone is going to a website like this, they know what information they're looking for. So the search bar is very prominent on this one. And then it shows what's popular, because generally, if you really want to find something, chances are lots of other people want to find something. So highlighting these sorts of things, the things that are popular, is important. That can either be manual, or it can be an automated process to show what most people are clicking on. So with a good website management system, you can bring out this information automatically. Featured is likely to be more manual. So for example, in the UK, next week we have elections. So the government website will be featuring this information about bringing your ID to vote. That's a new thing in the UK where you have to bring ID to vote. So that's manual, that's chosen by the team who create the website to say what's important right now, what do we want our users to know. So they'll highlight that more prominently. And then we have like a list of the services available. But it's all about, on an information website, it's all about making it very clear how to find the information that you need. So generally have, you also want to find the aims of the organisation, who works there, because You need to know organisationally, like who is actually behind it, and what the services they do, what sort of work they do at the organisation, and who their customers or who their users are. So an information website is basically get everything on there but make it very easy to find that information. So repository websites, the most famous is Wikipedia. Hands up if you've used Wikipedia, please. Hands up. I mean, come on, I'm sure I know everyone's putting their hands up here. So a repository is, it's not really about the design of the website, it's not really about it looking visually attractive or anything like that, it's about just a very simple sort of way to store and retrieve information. It is very good, for digital marketers, it's very good to, for you to have links to your website in a repository. So if there's an article about your brand, then it should have links back to your website, which is very, very good because these websites like Wikipedia are very well used. Or if there's a story about the industry that you work in, if your brand is one of the biggest in that realm, you might get mentioned in that article and get linked back to. So it's very, very useful. Wikipedia isn't the only one. There are lots of repositories. So for example, recipe websites will be a repository. GitHub is one for developers. There are repositories for everything. There's repositories for knitting patterns and sewing patterns for making clothes. They also tend to be very transparent about where the information comes from. So Wikipedia, it will show who has edited it and when, and other users can edit it, change it, write notes. You need to have references for the things that go in there, and it's kind of, with Wikipedia, its accuracy is dependent on the number of people, the people with knowledge editing it. But yes, you can set up a wiki for something as well. So if, for example, there are wikis for TV shows where fans will just keep adding information about those TV shows, about characters and things like that. So yes, a repository, anything where you just store information or materials for other people to retrieve. One of the most important ones for us as digital marketers, of course, is shopping. So websites that enable customers to browse and shop, to buy things online. They will tend to have multiple product images and videos, very important. Verified reviews are very good, where you can guarantee that the reviews are actually by people who have bought the product. Of course, payment options, and often we'll have chat support. If you have all of these things, then you're doing well as an e-commerce shop. Obviously, they don't all have this. Certainly not all will have chat support. Verified reviews might be when they use something like Trustpilot rather than the website's own review system. So that's when Trustpilot is a sort of global brand that will gather reviews on behalf of companies, and then you can publish them on the website. And that's how you now sort of verify reviews. But yeah, generally, if you're going to be selling stuff online, you want to have these things to really provide a good experience for your customers. I've heard something that happens. I've heard that happens here that doesn't happen in the UK is that you pay cash on delivery when you get deliveries. Is that right? If you buy something. So in the UK, most of our deliveries are just left on the doorstep, and we never see the person who delivers them. But yes, it's really interesting, the difference. And that's something that would be very important. If I was a business that was operating in the UK and in Vietnam, I would need to know those two different things and provide those options. So when it comes to operating globally, having that knowledge about your customers and not just expecting everywhere to be like the place where you're where you're based is very, very important. And that's where you as digital marketers are working with other elements of your business as well to make sure that everyone is aware of the different markets that you work in. So payment options there, they will be different depending on the different countries that you're in. Shopping websites need to do a few different things though. So same as email marketing and all other types of digital marketing. You need your website to work for brand new customers. So you need to make someone who's just landing on your website for the first time very excited about shopping there for the first time. But you also need to be a good website for people who go to your website all the time. So sometimes when you've got login and sign up forms for your customers, the sign up is more prominent than the login, and sometimes it can be a bit irritating if you just get a sign up screen and you're like, no, I just want to log in. So being aware of those sorts of things is important. One of the nice things that some websites do now is you just enter your email address, and if you've got an account, it asks you your password, and if you haven't, it asks you to register. And so things like that, thinking about how you can streamline the process for your customers to make it work for everyone, is very useful. Another type of website is utility. So this is where a website purely exists to enable customers to perform a useful function. And they might make money by providing sort of different services, and for brand awareness, people thinking, oh, I use that for currency to check how much a currency conversion is, so I might go use it for something else. But yes, so this is a utility website that enables you to see how much different currencies are, but they also provide money transfers. So the main website is just very simple service, letting you check how much your money is worth in another country, and then they make their money by having that extra service for those people who need it. Can anyone think of any other examples of like a useful utility website where you just go there to provide, to do a service? It's kind of hard to think of them, so I'm curious if anyone can think of any. Someone say something? Sorry. What did you say? Yes, dictionary website. Yes, something like that, where you want to look up what a word means or find a thesaurus, like an alternative word. Yes, so a translation website absolutely would be the same as well. That would be utility. Any others? Your bank might be a utility website, or like a payment service where you're just accessing your online account, things like that. You might have a utility website sort of separate. You can think of two portions of your business separately. So with banks, they might be selling products, but a lot of the people who are using it, they would just be using the utility side of it, which is accessing their bank account. Yes?
Can we call Wikipedia a utility for
Wikipedia? Well, no, Wikipedia is a repository more than a utility. You could call, like, Google search a utility website where you way to search for something. But yeah, you could. I think the important thing is being able to justify what sorts of website it is, especially in your assessment when you're talking about what sorts of websites it is. But yeah, Wikipedia, repository, utilities are more of a tool. I think I agree that just getting information about something is a utility, but more of a repository. So, and in general, whatever type of website you're creating, generally these are the essential aims of a business's website. You want people to be able to find you. So, with letting people find you is having that online presence so that when people search for you, they are actually going to find your business. And if you don't have a website, they might not be able to find you. They might find your social media and things like that, but they're harder to sort of verify. But basically, websites, you want people to be able to find your business, find out about you. Website is your foundation of your online presence. We're going to talk a lot about search engine optimization this afternoon, but generally you need to have a presence online if you are a business, and the best way to do that is to have a website. Your website wants to engage your audience. It's going to help you cultivate a relationship with your audience, with your customers, and ultimately you want your website to generate revenue. So with an information website, even if it's just like the gov.uk, they're not really trying to. Generally, they're not trying to generate revenue, but as a government as a whole is, they want to get taxes and things like that, and they want their citizens to be paying their taxes and understanding how to do things. So in a way, it kind of generates revenue. But generally, for a business that exists, you want your website to help you generate more money. Okay, this is one of the two main academic theories, models that you will be referencing in your assessment. So yesterday we heard about the 6 I's, like individualization, independence of location, and those 6 I's. Can we have less talking, please? This is the other one. So when we looked at the Sheen infographic yesterday, they had a section that was about 6 I's, and then they had a section that was the 5 stages of information processing, and assessed and audited the organisation's digital marketing based on how well it does these things. So this is by Professor Charles Hoffacker. The reference is in my bucket. It is a book called Internet Marketing, and it was written back in 2001, so at the early stages really of the internet. And it's intended to help advertisers and marketers design their websites to achieve their aims. So these 5 stages of information processing are what you can judge a website by to see whether it is actually achieving the aims of the business. Sometimes when someone says they want a website, they just chuck a load of information about their business on there and don't really design it, don't really think about whether it's achieving these aims. And these are what they are. So stage 1 is exposure, which is making sure the web visitor is exposed to the website for long enough to absorb the content. Attention, which is things like movement and intensity, attracting attention. So if your website is boring, if it's not visually attractive, it's not going to get the attention of the visitor. So, and also you might think about having videos or animations on your website to really to grab you